So I'm not building a race car here. I'm building a part that I can repair a daggerboard to keep me going for the rest of the season. There's real science to laminating carbon fiber, and there is a proper ratio for carbon fiber and the resin. I'm kind of doing it by feel. I want to get it wet enough so that the carbon fiber bonds, but not so wet that it's very, very heavy. Although the heavy is not so much of a concern for me right now. The epoxy by itself is just kind of brittle. It's the proper combination of the epoxy and the carbon that gives it the strength. And it's so hot out here that I suspect this is going to be ready to go very shortly. So I'm going to build a carbon fiber tube, and the carbon fiber tube is going to go in the hole that I drilled in the daggerboard. I'm going to set it in there, and then I'm going to drill an accompanying hole in the top part, and the tube is going to be used to kind of hold the two ends together. Build the tube. I'm going to use a piece of PVC conduit as a mandrel, and I'm going to do a very thin layer of carbon first so it retains its shape. I'm going to pull the mandrel out, make sure it'll move, and then continue on building up additional layers. I'm using paste wax as a release agent. This doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a tube that no one is ever going to see. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time making it perfect, but I'm going to put the wax on as a release agent so I have a hope of getting the mandrel out. I've pre-cut the carbon fiber and the peel ply, and I'm wrapping it around the mandrel. You may notice that the epoxy is in a cup of ice water to try and keep it cold. It's very hot and very humid, and I'm trying to extend the cure time. Peel ply is a pretty versatile tool to mold the shape of the part. An alternative would be to use a vacuum bag, but I thought this would be a little simpler and would require fewer resources. Hot and humid today. Seems to have set up quickly. This is peel ply, nylon paper fabric. Just to hold things together while it's setting up. Peel ply leaves a very good surface for adhesion. Good, because this is just the first coat. So, here's the miracle. Very slight cut.
Sticky. Satisfying crackle.
Here's a little trick to cutting this.
There's a trick?
Trick.
Oh.
Actually, I pull out two strands. And it's very easy to see where to cut. not a fantastic job of wetting out, but we'll do another coat, see if we can get it right this time. Mandrel isn't coming out. I'm going to make a cut down the entire tube again, get the mandrel out, do one more layer of carbon around it. It's very nice. That is one solid piece of carbon tube. So I've built the carbon fiber tube and it's epoxied rather completely into the daggerboard. And I've also hollowed out a section to receive the carbon fiber tube. And what I'm working now to do is to fit the two elements together so that when they do attach, they're entirely in one plane, and also the dimension between here and here and here and here is consistent. It builds a parallel rectangle that is going to fit in the daggerboard trunk. You can see there are a couple issues right now, namely that this section is up above the table, so I have to do a little bit of work to do a little bit of fitment.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
I need to rebuild a part that serves three functions. Number one, it recesses the line that pulls the daggerboard up. Number two, it captures the end of the line with a stopper knot. And number three, it distributes the load of that line throughout the daggerboard. To do this, I need to build some tubes of varying diameters out of carbon fiber. And I'm using plumbing from around the shop and even a small Forstner bit to build a very small diameter tube, and that tube's inner diameter is just a little bigger than the outer diameter of the line. One of the tubes is really just a half pipe to recess the line in the daggerboard. Here I am trimming it off the mandrel and cutting the mandrel in half. With all the parts built, I can begin assembly. I use cyanoacrylate adhesive to temporarily bond the pieces together. They'll be more permanently bonded with a mixture of thickened epoxy and carbon fiber at a later date. This piece allows the line to pass alongside the daggerboard, go through the daggerboard proper, and be captured within the daggerboard. Off camera, I built a mold to help with the assembly process, and here I'm doing some cleanup. The control line will make a right angle as it passes through the small tube. Trying to radius the corner of that right angle to minimize the possibility of wear at that point. Here you can see my mold a little more clearly. I'm adding a mixture of thickened epoxy, graphite, and chopped carbon fiber mat. This provides a very strong, malleable structure that I can push into the right shape. Working on a hot, humid day in direct sunlight with black thickened epoxy means that the cure time is very short. And in fact, you'll see the exothermic reaction that takes place as this sets up. I'm roughing out the foam blocks that have been added to the tip of the daggerboard and just trying to extend the shape of the foil to them. is all about building a mechanism that's going to control the downline. I've made this part out of carbon fiber. You've seen in a couple of other past segments. I'm going to try and take this and fit it into this spot right here. is far from perfect, but it is one piece, one daggerboard. Pleased to have it back together, and we're going to try and put it on the boat today, see what happens. I'm assuming that the dimensions are pretty close. We can do a little test fitting once we're out there. Depending on the tide, we should be able to do a full test. Away we go! The daggerboard is in the boat. Hallelujah. Little final fitting off camera, but we managed to get it in the boat. We took it out on the channel, it's 8 feet deep. Put the daggerboard all the way down. It goes up and down rather nicely, which means we are ready to go. Next step is put on the mast.
But that project is done. And it's better than it was before. It really is.
It's heavier for sure.
But it's easier to go up and down.